Just for background, I've recently joined NetApp about 2 months ago, but I've been in the cloud for a long time. This will see if this elicits a smile. Remember the iOmega Jazz and Zip drives from the 1998, mid 1990s? I wrote the first continuous data backup software for that was ultimately acquired by Symantec. So that's how long I go back in storage. In 2007, was with Cloud Object Storage and sold my first Cloud Object deal back then. Transitioned with HPE and cloud storage, and then now here at, very happy to be at NetApp driving that. Niraj, I'll let you have a little bit of background on yourself.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you to the team at Cloudfield Diff for having us today. I'm Niraj Verma. I'm a solutions architect here in CDS BU. I focus on a Google Alliance mainly, and I've been here for about 20 months. It's been an amazing 20 months to be part of this amazing innovation and cloud ethos here at NetApp. So I really look forward to the discussion today with our esteemed delegates. Thank you all for taking the time today and joining us. I look forward to learning from your experiences as well, and I welcome any feedback on what you see today, good or constructive. So thank you.
If we talk about NetApp, everybody knows NetApp probably through various interactions with the data center in their lives or in their careers. It's about a 25-year-old company, which really is interesting because Bezos and Hitz both went to Princeton together back in the day, back in the 80s, and we're coming back around now. The NetApp and the bookstore turns into a massive cloud provider. So it's been a journey. It's been a journey from the traditional data center into the virtualization and into the cloud, and NetApp's been part of that every step along the way, from the first really attached storage, external attached storage vendor, with a presence across the Fortune 500 data centers, moving into things such as FlexPod and HCI, and now moving into full Kubernetes container-based workloads. We've been through that journey, and now we're bringing that journey to the cloud. And that is very important because if you look at the basis of this journey, it's all about data and having access to that data. And now we really need a very versatile data fabric to run the enterprise for the future. And this means a data fabric that can span multiple clouds. It's the data fabric that can span hybrid, on-prem, bursting into cloud, and can bring the data to the user wherever that user is, which is some acquisitions that we've made, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. So it has been a journey, and we're not done yet. The journey will continue, but certainly one of the biggest things that's impacting our strategy is how fast things are emerging in the development cycles. We've gone from the old waterfall methodology back in the 90s that I studied in my computer science classes, et cetera, now into the Scrum and the Agile methodologies, and now we're going straight into CI/CD. And so the pace of change is just phenomenal. Next slide. And so this digital transformation is what we're here to talk about, and we're going to talk about the two platforms primarily that's driving those first, and then we're going to talk about what we're doing with SAP later. But this core basis is you've got $1 trillion being spent on digital transformation, and there's probably that was before what the world that we're living in right now with COVID and the remote workers and having to bring and extend the perimeters of the data center to people's houses. What a crazy experience that has been across the world for enterprise ITs and CIOs as they've had to become very agile. And this means modernizing and simplifying IT systems so it's you get a consumer-like feel for consuming this capability. And we see these collaboration platforms like Zoom exploding. We got to build the new cloud-native applications. We got over 2 million enterprise applications. Not all of them are going to be transitioned to a cloud-native application. Some will go to SaaS, some will be retired, and yes, some will be re-platformed into cloud-native architecture. And it's about that data-driven fabric of giving customers choices and enterprises choices to build a very flexible fabric for that. And so very simply, our mission, I wanted to put it up here. It's not a pretty slide, but it's easy to follow along with. There's no bouncing ball, but I'll tell you. It's to be about the #1 platform for shared storage, cost optimization, and modern workplace. And drum roll, across any public cloud of your choice. Because we believe in a multi-cloud future. We're staking our bet on that. Anthony Lai, who is our SVP for our cloud business unit and our cloud data center and public cloud services business unit, is very aggressively going after that. And we're matching our words with our actions and the acquisitions that we've made. We just announced Spot, which I'll get to in a minute. So we're very excited to be taking the data center into this. So let's talk about what we're doing, because maybe this will give some context about what Niraj is going to give you the hands-on view of today with Cloud Volumes. So at the baseline of this, as I mentioned, is this data fabric. So it's about shared storage across all of your compute environments. And you know NetApp probably for ONTAP, right? Which is our enterprise grade. It's the, it's kind of the gold standard for file-based storage across the enterprise. And we have brought that with products into each one of the cloud providers, into AWS, into Azure, and most importantly, and what we're here to talk about today is with Google and GCP, where we're seeing a great amount of uptake in. And so this is all about bringing the same experience and even better that you can get in your data center into the cloud environment. So things such as copy on write snapshots, thin provisioning, data deduplication, snap mirrors, flex clones, all of these capabilities that drive a lot of enterprises across our 30,000 customers today. Now they can bring those into the cloud and help them on that cloud journey. And the workloads that we're focused on there are the workloads that run the enterprise: SAP, RDBMSs with SQL, MySQL, all of the MongoDB, all the new database architectures. Of course, VMware with GCVE, which is Google's new cloud offering. We can provide file storage for that as well. And high performance computing, ML, AI. These are all the new workloads that are requiring high performance, enterprise grade, replicated, zone tolerant, region tolerant failure with, get to 4 nines of availability. So that's what we're focused on. That's what we're going to talk today about. But I at least want to paint the picture of what we're doing in these other stovepipes. Well, not stovepipes, but verticals, if you will. So one is about cloud cost optimization, which spans across both the storage component and the compute component. So we have Cloud Insights, which is our analytics capability that provides full insight into all the operational metrics across multiple cloud. So that's a good one from just IT operations management perspective. But we also just acquired Spot, and Spot can reduce customers' AWS and cloud bills and GCP, et cetera, down 70–80%. Because it basically monitors all unused capacity and can look at the best fit instances, even using Spot instances when those are available. So a lot of AI, ML embedded in that allows it to rapidly cost optimize your IT delivery. That means more money can be spent on adding value into customers. And then ultimately in the modern digital workspace with remote offices, work from home, et cetera, VDI is becoming an essential service, right? Taking a shared Windows service and extending that into people's homes, but in a secure manner. So we acquired CloudJumper, which is now our virtual desktop services portfolio. We also acquired something called Talon, which provides a global file cache effectively that gives you caching at the edge, replicated across multiple sites. So no matter where you are in the country or the world, all your files are at your fingertips in those geographical locations, which is important as we move into a distributed world and we have to have people 24/7, creating new buildings or working on bridges together, and have to have locks synced so that you're designing something on the first floor and the second floor that file never gets out of sync, right? So that's with Talon acquisition with global file cache. There's a lot of stuff we could talk about 8 hours, but we're not going to do that. Now we only have about 45 minutes left. So I'm going to just kind of move right through it and just focus in on our Cloud Volume story.
Yeah, just to clarify, Jeff, so we'll be focusing on the first pillar here, the high performance availability storage today in this talk, but I welcome any number of these in the next quarter. We have so much action here at NetApp and we want to bring it all forward. So with that, I'll click on the next slide, Jeff.
Yep. So in our point of view, there's going to be 5 cloud companies that matter. Of course, you have the 3 hyperscalers. You have VMware, which has the common hypervisor of moving that into the cloud, and each one of the cloud providers offers a VMware in the cloud experience for the lift and shift and the migration. And then you're going to have a storage and data fabric workplace productivity toolset company, and that's NetApp. So that's going to be across all clouds. We already have the data fabric. Now we're expanding that with a portfolio of workplace and cost optimization. So that is just so you kind of understand where we are heading as a strategy standpoint. We plan to be one of those 5 companies that matter in the cloud moving forward. Niraj, I'll turn this over to you.
Great, thanks, Jeff. So as Jeff already mentioned, what was the mindset when we were developing this partnership with Google and the different priority workloads we were looking at? I've been here for 20 months, and as I look back, when I joined here in 2018, we were still pretty early. I think we were in the private preview phase of the service. And I got a chance to work with Google and really experience the special partnership that we have. And it really is special in so many levels, and whether it is the engineering meetings that I'm in with them, or whether it is just the way we go to market together. And then what's happened is that we've had one thing in our mind, which is how can we help our customers with their needs as it relates to moving workloads to the public cloud. So fast forward to today, now we have multiple service offerings available in Google Cloud, multiple integration points for workloads, as Jeff already talked through. So here's just a quick summary, what was our mindset, and we were really honored and humbled to receive the award 2 years in a row now for that Partner of the Year infrastructure category. And again, this is testament to all of the engineering efforts between both the companies. So, and just to structure the conversation from here till the demo, I had maybe 2 slides here just on how we're thinking about tactically moving workloads to the cloud. And then we'll go into some solutions that we have. And then really, I just want to show you an architecture slide and then go right to the demo, because I removed like 5, 6 slides just for that reason. I want to talk to you about the service with the service in front of us, and I want to take you for a spin. So with that in mind, let's hold off all of the questions around architecture, VMware, or SAP, because right after the demo, we'll do just that. So over here, you see that as you were talking to our customers over these years and refining our what we thought were the adoption pathways for cloud or moving workloads to the cloud, it really boils down to these 3 things that you see here right in the middle of the screen, right? The migrate, the build, and the extract. And if you ask somebody at Google, they also have a similar vision here where they have the infrastructure modernization for the migrate category, they have the app modernization for the build category, and they have modern analytics for the extract category, right? And each of these, from our lens, has a problem that we saw in the data layer, and I'll talk more about what I mean by the data layer in the next slide. That's where we thought that we could come together and help our customers with the solutions that we bring. And each of these actually has a persona or a couple of personas tied to them. For example, in the first category, the migrate category, we have a bunch of admins or lines of business owners, or really folks that are part of maybe a cloud center or excellence team, and they're trying to move these traditional monolithic type applications to the public cloud like Google. And they're really held back due to the data layer, because they don't want to rewrite the data layer. They don't want to use object storage or newer types of databases there. They just want to get to the cloud to take advantage of other things like, for example, automatically scaling their demands and not being in the business of doing upgrades or just exiting the data center, for example, right? In the second category, the build category, that's where you're hearing technologies like Anthos and Kubernetes, and that aligns with that app modernization bucket, if you will. And the personas there are, again, DevOps engineers, developers that are looking to not really move fast, not be in that business of provisioning anything. They want to consume everything just like everything else in Google Cloud. And the storage should also follow suit like compute does right now. And again, in the third category, that's where we're seeing that all of the customers that had built their data pipelines on premises, now they're looking to move those into Google Cloud because of the clear differentiators that Google has in that space with their leading technologies and APIs with machine learning. So if you look at the right side of the graphic, what we really heard from our customers, what was resounding to us was that any solution to these problems should have these things in the common that you see on the right side as it relates to experience. And you hear that all the time, I get it, right? Look and feel, but I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to take you through that experience right here in the demo and how we were thinking about it. And really, not just that it should be exactly like anything else in Google from a control plane standpoint, but also you should be able to flex your capacity up and down as you need to, and the economics should follow suit. all underscored with a really high degree of security and compliance. So this was our mindset when we were developing this partnership and services with with Google. Now I mentioned going back to the drawing board here, like what is really the problem in deploying enterprise applications in Google, right? Why is it so hard? So if you look on the left side, I have the anatomy of a typical 3-tier application here. On top, you have the application layer. You have a bunch of application servers running your code, right? And and in the middleware layer, you again have a bunch of compute running your business logic. And over the years, we've seen that the enterprises have really taken it to that service-oriented architecture, the fine grain, if you will, right? And now they want to take that service-oriented architecture to microservices and even more fine grain type architectures. And it's really not that difficult today with technologies from Google like Anthos or Anthos Migrate. You can really get started there right now and make that decision whether you do it on-prem or you do it in the cloud, you do it in either of those ways, right? So you can get started quickly, but for the data layer, that's a different story, right? In the data layer, you again have two types of structures, if you will, the structured database and the unstructured file layer. And it's easy for you to take that structured database and again, run it on a Google managed database like Cloud SQL, or if you want to go to a NoSQL type databases, you can do that as well and not be in that business of deploying anything, managing anything, right? Or you can even choose to run the database on your own if you want even more control. For example, how you do backups and restores and all that. In the unstructured file layer, that's where NetApp and Google came together because there really wasn't a solid enterprise-grade option for our customers to seamlessly, without breaking the business processes or rewriting for object or newer databases, move those apps, right? And as this architecture grows over time, what you see at the bottom of the screen there, the POSIX interfaces, which is your NFS and SMBs, becomes really important to allow that sharing of files in that composite app ecosystem, right? And then obviously high availability is crucial. If you're running things in production, you want to make sure they're always available. Performance becomes even more important as you grow your application and scale it. The experience for the users is always paramount, right? And then data protection, compliance, regulatory, having the data when you need it, and also copying it for those reasons. That's what we bring to this situation. So turn it back to you, Jeff, if you want to introduce some use cases on a high level, how we're thinking about it, how that aligns with some of our offerings.
Yeah, great, Niraj. I think one of the things that we're going to get into the demo, think about it in the context of the workloads. So we were recently certified for SAP scale-up workloads, things like HANA, which is a big in-memory database. And when you want to basically protect that database, that in-memory database, it needs to be flushed into disk. Our copy on write snapshot technology, et cetera, gives a tremendous performance improvement. And Dave Stump and Scott McCullough will be talking about that after we go through our cloud volumes. But also just Windows workloads, lift and shift. So in Google Cloud, we're the only SMB service available through the control panel. So you go to your Google Cloud control panel, you look at all your services, you'll see cloud volumes there. You click on the cloud volume and you can provision a Windows file share in seconds. And that allows you then to scale it up, scale it down, change your performance tiers, et cetera, without having to manage a Windows server to do that and attach all the persistent disk. And in the meantime, you'll save 70%. So that's a great win for us all the time. General purpose NAS, where you're just basically need a file share. 68% of enterprise applications need shared file storage. SAP, of course, but then also a lot of the other applications that you're moving in the cloud. So a very good solution for that. The Google Cloud VMware engine that we just spoke about, which is GCVE, they're launching and have some really great use cases of being able to snap mirror from on-prem, move those VMs into the cloud and run them there. And then hybrid cloud workplaces such as DR and backup in the cloud. Machine analytics, where you're running a workload in a data center and you want to move a subset of that data into the cloud for things like ML, AI, process that, and then basically delete those cloud volumes in the cloud and recapture that data back in your data center. So there's all this type of data movement, things like that we can do with our Cloud Volumes ONTAP, which brings that enterprise-grade ONTAP and now delivers it across the cloud.
Hey, Jeffrey.
So, yes.
So the SAP HANA certification, is that to a file share when they dump the HANA in-memory database, or is that through a structured?
Yeah, I can take that, Jeff. So in SAP, we have multiple use cases, right? So the shared files is one, but the certification that we have is for actually running HANA in a scale-up fashion. So data and log on CVS.
Yeah, so that is data and log files running on the CVS, which is a NetApp file.
Exactly, and we have an hour talk right after this one just on that, and then I also have an architecture slide on each of these that we can have in front of us when we discuss a bit more after the demos.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Anything else here, Jeff? Or?
No, that's it. You got it, Raj.
All right, I think you got this to introduce our services, some of the services that we have here, Jeff. I know you only just joined us, but I'd love to hear your perspective. And
Sure. So both are Cloud Volumes. So you'll hear Cloud Volumes, which is our strategy for bringing this data fabric into multiple clouds. But in GCP specifically, we're offering Cloud Volume Service. Now, this is the fully managed service backed with a 99.9% SLA. It is available in the Google console from the command line for API calls. It gives you the ability to create volumes as small as 1 terabyte. We have different performance tiers, which Niraj will walk through. But I like to say you can get started with NetApp now for $4 a day, right? Less than a Frappuccino at Starbucks. Because you're paying only for the volume that you're provisioning, but you're getting all the enterprise capabilities inside of it. So that's our Cloud Volume Service, fully managed service. It is offered with an SLA. You spin it up in GCP. It scales up and down dynamically, and we'll show more of that. But the other product is Cloud Volumes ONTAP. Now, Cloud Volumes ONTAP, or CVO, is effectively our ONTAP delivered as a virtual appliance inside of your cloud of choice. And this is a self-managed service. So you can go and point it at any region that you want to and spin it up. It's it's not multi-tenant, it's dedicated for you. And it will automatically do things such as tiering data between persistent disk or SSDs and into object storage. It does all the data compaction, data deduplication. It does snap mirror, all of the things that you get, the dials and the knobs and dials that you get with your storage on-prem, your NetApp storage on-prem. Now we bring that into Cloud Volumes ONTAP that's available as a self-managed. We have a cloud management control plane, if you will, called Cloud Manager. Literally, you can take an icon representing your cloud volumes in whichever region it is and drag and drop it, and it'll replicate it no matter which cloud it is. So it's a great multi-cloud control plane. Very excited about that. So there's 2 different services. One is the easy button for storage, right? That's CVS. Boom, now you've got your volume. It reduces the amount of bells and whistles and knobs and buttons that you can kind of do with it, but it's completely managed by NetApp and GCP and supported by NetApp and GCP. And then you, of course, have Cloud Volumes ONTAP. So
Jeffrey, Cloud Volume ONTAP has pretty much a fully supported ONTAP environment from data management, data services. Does Cloud Volume Service support like data compression, deduplication, snap mirrors, that sort of copy on write snapshots?
Yeah, we do have we basically thin provision snapshots, or we don't refer to it as copy on write snapshots because 40% of the customers that we're gaining in the cloud are not NetApp customers. There are people who want a volume where you do a snapshot. And so I won't say we've dumbed it down, but we've made it simple to activate and consume without having to be an ONTAP administrator. So in CVS, as you'll see, it's really easy. And by making it easy, we've abstracted away some of those components underneath. But what you just said, all of those features are inside of our Cloud Volume Service. So you're getting all those, you're getting all the data protection and data resilience, but it's all transparent to you. You're effectively provisioning a volume, selecting the performance tier for that volume, selecting the size for that volume, and then making it available. And once Niraj walks through that, you'll see. The short answer is yes, it's both, but we don't expose all the features in CVS.
Yeah, and you'll see that when I take you to the demo, why we did that. The model is designed such that you pay for the capacity that you use, gigabyte per month, right? So and we give you an SLA for that, both throughputs and capacity, right? So again,
I'm sorry, before you begin, I believe on one of the previous slides, you listed a data lake as a really good use case. Can you explain why using a NetApp solution would be better than using the vendor's proprietary object storage?
Yeah. So great question, Nate. So if you go back to that slide, it's really discussing how the enterprises have migrated. It's not saying that's a specific NetApp use case. We do have some people using it for data lakes, but you're right. There's a lot of vendors that have their own proprietary data stores, and we're not trying to say NetApp as a one-size-fits-all for a data lake. It is something that customers use us for, but it's not a lead with use case. These are the slide that I just walked through are our primary use cases.
Yeah, and again, Nate, I think it was Nate, right? So think about it as a data pipeline, right? Lake is just one stop in that station, right? In that pipeline, right? So you have data warehousing, data lakes, and you have applications and data is moving around. So we have a place in that pipeline. If you have a requirement for your application to have that high performance NFS interfaces, then that's what we provide. But eventually, we are not the data lake. You're right. So,
and then we have Anthos, and just to wrap up, that's Anthos with GKE, which is taking our Trident drivers and all of our technology and making that available inside of Google Anthos as a managed Kubernetes environment, bringing all the enterprise-grade storage tiers to a multi-cloud hybrid environment where you can run it in your data center or in a cloud provider's data center and still get those benefits in a dedicated instance fashion. So we have customers that use this. Interesting, you're probably very familiar with Ceph. We've had a company that said, look, I was trying to roll my own Ceph in a cloud, was for file services. It was just too complex. This is the easiest way to kind of get started. And it's about reliability and pricing, because at the end of the day, you know, in the future, customers are going, I say customers or DevOps are going to care about having data available for processing and probably couldn't care less about the underneath of that volume, what's going on. Now we do as a storage vendor, but we need to make it easy. And, you know, it has to be easy to consume and still offer great performance. And so I think Prowler.io was very pleased with us. That's where they did this.
Thank you for that overview, Jeff. So here we go. So from here on out, we're going to focus on a flagship offering, the Cloud Volumes Service architecture here that I have. So what I want to do is I want to explain what we were thinking when we're designing this service, and then I have one more slide that will talk about the benchmarks, and then we'll go right into the console after that, and then look at all this.
Before you get there, you mentioned the Anthos. Is it a Cloud Volume service there, or a Cloud Volume on tap there in Anthos?
In that third category of use case where you saw Anthos with our HCI, right?
That's the CDO. It would be the on tap.
So it's CVO. Okay, thanks.
Correct. Any other questions before we take a closer look at Cloud Volumes? All right, so what is this? Who's using it, right? So this is Cloud Volumes is a fully managed NFS and SMB file services offering in Google Cloud, right? And it is open to all, meaning that you can get started today, right here, right now. You don't have to get whitelisted, or you don't have to get onboarded or any of that, right? The way it's designed is that if you are a Google customer, Google user, you can log into your Google account, which you'll do right now, and then you can consume it from that same navigation menu where you have all of the other Google services, right? So open to all. And then the second key thing to note here is as a regional service. This is where we differentiate from everything else that's out there, right? In that we connect to a Google region. So we are by default highly available in the region, and you can deploy applications in all of the zones in that region and connect to us without having to worry about us going down, right? So when the zone goes down, I mean. And the framework that we use here is called the Private Service Access, which is a very highly robust and secure technology from Google, also used by some of the other Google native technologies like Cloud SQL. And then moving to the graphic that I have here, you see on the top we have the control plane, and on the bottom we have the data plane. So on the control plane on the top, you can access the service using the console, API, CLI, and it's also embedded with cloud monitoring, previously Stack Driver, from a monitoring standpoint. And then one of the things that our customers love about this is that even from a billing and support standpoint, it is completely seamless for a Google user. Google takes first call for support, and even the way it's metered is that you get a single bill from Google with us as a line item when you consume it. And then looking at the bottom, the control plane, again, on the right side, you have the producer project and the NetApp VPC. And on the left side, you have your consumer project where you have your application resources running and your VPC. And then the way we make that connection is using a technology called VPC peering. And really, we spend so much time, there's so much automation going on here so that you as a user or a developer or an SRE or a DevOps engineer really don't have to focus on being a networking expert for Google, you literally just consume it in about a matter of 4 or 5 minutes for the very first volume that you create. All this automatically gets set up for the subsequent volumes to then be able to get spun up even more quicker, like 8 or 9 seconds, right? So that was the idea here, to give our customers something that is automated, highly secure, robust, and also allows them to focus on higher level tasks, not the mundane tasks of implementing things. And if you're familiar with the Google world, shared VPC support is something that our customers were asking, and this reminds me of just how quickly we are innovating here and how quickly we are taking the requirements in the field and able to add it in our iterations. And we announced the support for shared VPC at beta last year, more than a year ago. And what that does is lets you deploy the topology that 90% of users in Google are deploying. Essentially, looking again at the bottom architecture, you don't have to peer us with every single project, right? If you did share VPC, you can peer us with just a host project, and then all of the service projects in that shared VPC can access us without you having to peer so many times. And it just gives you a nice way to manage and organize your operations, whether it's networking or storage or projects for different environments like dev tests, all that. And then again, from a security standpoint, we have roles built into Google IAM. So you see on the top that authentication is through Cloud IAM. So this is the level of work and innovation that we have done. And I'll pause here to see if there's any questions on the technical architecture or so far.
So I've got a real quick question here. A little bit earlier, you guys said that it doesn't, most of your customers are not, in fact, current NetApp customers when it comes to like the CVA, or not CVA, CVS and Cloud ONTAP. Is there a reason for that, or what does the integration look like with the existing ONTAP investment that people might have made?
I'm happy to take that. So the cloud, we have a lot of NetApp customers that are using CVO because they get the instant ability to effectively extend their data center into their cloud provider of choice. So for CVO, the majority of customers probably are, I don't have the exact breakout, but the majority of customers would be existing NetApp customers. And for CVS, it's right there in the Google control plane. So it's literally just go down to the bottom of the control panel and click a button and you can provision a volume. So you don't have to be a pre-existing NetApp customer to use that. And that's where we're getting a lot of uptake with new DevOps-centric customers that are new to taking and building a cloud platform. They need some shared storage for running their web server or whatever, and that's how they're accessing it. But for CVO, I would say the majority are, but we are seeing some use cases now with CVO where we are getting some net new customers that just need to have resilient enterprise-grade storage in the cloud. And now you don't have to go through a complicated, data center footprint install, et cetera. You go to the marketplace, you click, and you can deploy it within 5 minutes for your CVO. So there's two options, and we're getting new customers and new logos in both.
So, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but CVS and CVO and the regular NetApp solutions on-prem, they all interact across this one data fabric? I mean, can you snap mirror from CVS to CVO or snap mirror from CVS to, an on-prem
That's solution? A great question, and I would say everything is a work in progress. Right now, NetApp on-prem and CVO can speak with each other. CVO doesn't snap into CVS, but CVO snaps to CVO. NetApp snaps to CVO in whatever cloud. So CVO is your universal layer, and CVS, as we started and launched that, and just went GA in November. So it's a relatively new service, and we'll be adding more features. And I can't speak to the roadmap, but I would say that feature is not an unreasonable feature that the product team is looking at.
Again, we want to get out of that mindset of bringing the tool, just leading with the tool, right? What is the problem that we're trying to solve in the cloud? When we were building this ecosystem of our offering, we wanted to allow you to start anywhere, really. So if you feel like you want more freedom and you want more responsibility, sure, go ahead and use CVO. You have the skill set, NetApp skill set already on premises, bring them and use them, and it's a completely different architecture, right? We're running it on Google IaaS versus this is a premium offering right here, which allows you to start quickly without having to worry about a false start, gives you greater productivity, and really sets you up for modern use cases and avenues down the road and reduce your time to innovation. So it's up to you if you want to use CVO, and we'll help you but I really don't see a scenario where you want to snap mirror from CVS to CVO. Again, we will be adding snap mirror tech capabilities in CVS. We already have it for CVO, but we'll work with you on what problem you're trying to solve, and we'll give you a solution for that, all right?
Okay.
So last slide here before I go into the demo. This is where rubber meets the road. So I want to talk about just one slide here, and I put the links here. We have an engineer in our team by the name Chad, the best of the best that I've ever seen. He's written a couple of blogs here, and he has a webinar on there's only two knobs, right? Performance and capacity, and how you can tune them. And really what I want to do is to give you the upper limit here. So for NFS and scale out, you're looking at about 400,000 IOPS. This is multi-instance, right? And from a throughput standpoint, you're looking at about 4 gigs of throughput. And that is what we bring today. And we're working with Google. They're always optimizing their SDN. We're always learning. We're always documenting how we're doing the testing in these links. And really what we're seeing is amazing, just about.
So this is CVS, not CVO?
Correct, this is CVS right here. This is CVS, yes.
All right, thanks.
I might be ignorant or might have missed something. CVS, CVO, the acronyms are?
Cloud Volumes Service, which is a managed service. And CVO is a self-managed VM called Cloud Volumes ONTAP. It's effectively a VM that you can go spin up wherever you want to spin it up.
Okay,
CVS
so
is
ONTAP versus the service.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. CVS is a co-engineered with Google service that's available in their control plane, fully managed, uptime 99.9%. And it abstracts all the complexities of otherwise you would have to go marketplace to spin a CVO, pick the capacity, how much persistent disk, et cetera, and start doing all the stuff. We just integrated all the easy button in CVS. So CVS is get started in 8 seconds and you've got your volume provision.
Yeah, I understood the difference. It's just that I hadn't picked up on the acronym.
Oh, the acronym. Yeah. CVS is the service and CVO is the VM.
All right, so we're going to be looking at how you use these knobs and how this works, right? So with that, let me introduce the demo section that I'm going to go into next here. So obviously we'll go into the console and we'll, there I'll talk about the value and benefits that I didn't cover yet. So we'll do that as we go along. The volume creation for SMB. If the demo gods are on my side, SMB, my Windows RDP is a bit flaky today, but if not, definitely NFS. And that's where I can show you real time, real FIO command running in performance that we can all see together, how you turn those knobs and how you can achieve what you're trying to do. And then that's the second item here, basically. And then we'll see something even more fun after that in the third one, which is where we differentiate than anybody else out there, right? Call it volume shaping, dynamic changes, what have you. But really what it comes down to is you saving costs. If you have that bursty, spiky workload, and if that's one of your strategic reasons to move workloads to cloud, then that's where you can, that is the capability. Automated with our APIs, you can literally save costs on an hourly, daily, weekly, monthly basis, and that quickly adds up. So what I'll do now is I'll come out of this full screen mode, and I'm going to go into the Google console where I've already logged in. Bear with me a second. Move my Zoom bar here.
So going back to the benchmarks, you don't have anything that would show the types of IO activity are available from the Cloud Volume ONTAP versus the Cloud Volume service. I mean, are these numbers similar to what's available on CVO or
Yeah, good question. So we have a slide. You can compare the two. They're not similar right now because CVO is running on persistent disk on top of Google IaaS, and it's single node right now. But if you speaking of CVO in general, we just broke the 500,000 numbers on a different provider, right? So CVO has the capability. We're building it in Google. CVO right now is single node. So to answer your earlier question, we use FIO, VD Bench. You can still use those for either or. We'll be using FIO here.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. So here we are logged into the Google Cloud Console, and I'm in the NCV demo project, as you see here. And if you click on the navigation menu, the hamburger menu, as Googlers call it, right? So this is where we live. We live right here in this menu at the bottom. And we were the first ones here, right? You see Cloud Volumes right here. I got it pinned to my home section. Clicking on Volumes brings you into the dashboard, which I've already pinned here. So I'm going to do that next. show you the transition. We're not going and deploying any scripts. We're not going to the marketplace and running deployment manager and waiting for it to complete. It's truly integrated. This is what I mean by experience, right? You're a Google user, you're a developer, you're an SRE. This is what you need. You're trying to deploy, you're trying to make a deployment happen in Google. You can use APIs. So everything that I do in the demo here today, all of that can be done with API and Terraform support that we have. So just to give you some better view here, what I'll do is I'll take out the ID, lifecycle, and state just to give you a clean view. So now you can see that I have some volumes listed here. They're predominantly in central region. I guess I like that region more than the others, but you got East 4, West 2. So you have 6 regions, which we'll look at when I click create. And then you can see the most relevant information you need to see, right? NFS, SMB, the size. And on the left here, the snapshots tab, the AD tab, which we'll cover in our SMB demo. And then this tab right here, which doesn't work right now because that's the feature that we're coming out with in about a month. And we're super excited about that, but I cannot demo that today yet. So stay tuned on that. And with that, what I'll do next is go click create. And this is where we can talk about the different service levels and what, really in my mind would require like 3 or 4 fields of input from you, and think about what you have to do to provision a volume today in a traditional or classical way, right? So it really amazes me every day when I come in here and I try to create a volume. So I'll give it a friendly name, right? We all need that. We'll call it Cloud Field A, SMB. And we'll pick our central region because that's where I have my Active Directory server. So SMB volumes requires an Active Directory domain controller in your same region and same project, okay? So if, for example, if you were to create this volume in a different region, you need an AD domain controller in that region as well. That's what I mean. The name is automatically picked for you. You can change it if you want to give it your own name. Just make sure it's unique across the project. And for our SMB demo, I think I had some notes here. I wanted to do this in a particular way. So what I'll do is, I want to do a premium 5 terabytes. So I'll do premium and I will skip the snapshot, because what that means here is that if I wanted to create this volume from an existing volume, another volume's copy, and explain where that comes in handy, then I can do that here. We're not doing that here. We're creating a brand new volume altogether. So I'll give it 5 tebibytes, as we call it. And I will choose SMB. So you can see right here, we have NFS v3, NFS v4, and SMB available today. And as Jeff mentioned, we are the only managed service provider for SMB in Google Cloud. The other option is for you to do it yourself. And again, that is a barrier already, in so many ways for you to then still pay that fixed cost again all over in the cloud. So we are the only SMB offering in Google Cloud, and performance is just as I showed you earlier, 400,000 IOPS. Now I talked about shared VPC. This project right here is a standalone project, so we're not doing shared VPC here. I don't have a host and service project here. That's fine. And the network, this is the old VPC, right? This is the VPC where you have your servers and your applications and your resources running. In my case, that VPC is NCV-VPC. So I'll choose that. And you saw that little pop-up. So that's where, because it already knows this for this project, we've already done the plumbing. It's only a one-time set it and forget it enablement flow that we do for the very first volume. Since we've already done that, you don't have to open the gcloud command and populate those 3 commands. That's super easy still, right? So we pick that, and then next what we'll do is show you the snapshot policy. So not only do we allow you to take snapshots on demand from the top left here, but we understand that you don't want to do that before every upgrade or every change or every situation that you're worried about, right? So you want an easy way to automate that as well. So that's what we give you here. We allow you to automate snapshots hourly, daily, weekly basis, predefined retention and schedule. You can plug in what suits your needs, and we won't do that here in this case. And let me make sure before I click save if there's any questions on SMB volume creation, all right, what you see here.
I just have a quick question. You had mentioned there was a requirement for a domain controller to be in the same region.
Correct.
How about if there was a disruption, just out of curiosity?
Disruption in domain controllers?
Yeah.
You have when you deploy AD, you'll not deploy a single point of failure, right? So you'll have multiple controllers in that domain.
Right.
And then you also have Google Manage AD, so you can let Google manage that whole thing. We're working on an integration with Google Manage AD right now. We don't support it right now, but Once you have that, then you don't have to go to compute engine and like I have my domain controller here. To your point, single domain controller, right? Single point of failure. But that's not a production deployment here, right? So, but what we do is that if I go to AD real quick before I click create, so you understand what is happening when I click create, is that it's checking for this connection right here. Actually I can click on edit and show you what that form looks like before you save it, right? So let's walk through this here. So you need an account with administrator type privileges, and obviously administrator works always, right? So we're plugging the password, pick the domain name of that domain controller that I have running, give it the DNS. In my case, it's the same. This name right here, the NetBIOS name, is what gets created as a computer object in AD. And then as you see right here, as I mentioned, one connection can only be configured for a single region.
That's fine. Just wanted clarification. Thank you.
Good question. You actually, you corrected me. I should have gone here first before I click create. So thank you. So I'm going to click create now, or save rather. And let's see if my RDP session to my my Windows VM is working. And once again, so you saw in about 5 seconds that volume, 1 terabyte is the minimum size, right? Got created and it's ready for us to use. So if I look at it up here, there it is, CFD SMB. And once it gets created, you can see that that same NetBIOS name was used, SMB server. It'll add a 4-digit code after that. And then right here, you can see how you can mount this to your Windows instances. And I have one up here running, and I'm going to pull it up right now. I'm going to copy this guy right here. And it's just so simple. Comes up. Are you still there? There it is. So part of the same domain. I'm going to go to my computer. And I'm going to have another volume already mounted just for some testing that I was doing. Click on this guy right here, map network drive. Doesn't work inside, so paste. Yeah, we did copy it. We didn't copy it. Let's try that one more time.
How easy is it to automate this through an API for automated user setup in a deployment?
Very easy. We have Terraforms that can be used to do the SMB volume creation and also the AD connection. So you can use Terraforms that we have available today to do all of that. So it looks like my sessions may have been timing out. So let me just open up these windows and kind of try it one more time. But you get the idea, right? So if I was to right click on that map and network drive, then I would just end up with a volume like this. So actually, let's just look at this one right here, right? Since I have a backup one here already mounted. So if I go into this one, no, there's a file that I copied that I had. But basically, let's make another copy. Okay, so you see that I'm copying a file from local downloads to a cloud volume that I created previously. I'll show that to you here. But what I want to do next is show you, if I were to go back to my volume page and take a snapshot, then what kind of VSS integration do we have, right? So while that's being done, I'll go back here, go to volumes, and I believe the volume in question now is this one right here. There's probably that guy, yeah, that one right there. Okay, so we're gonna snap this guy, and let's do that. So simple. Just click on this right here. Click on snapshot, and give it a friendly name. Click create. So once that snapshot is done, it takes really just a few seconds, right? Let's go back to our page. And let's say that somehow some kind of user error happened, or some kind of unforeseen event that occurred that I lost my files, right? So let's say we delete these two. And now I'm in a pickle, right? So what do? I don't have a backup. But the nice thing is that if that snapshot just worked, then if I was to right click here and go to restore previous versions, of course, it won't show now. So Goofy, Brave, Albertani. Okay, let's see. Did I get my volumes mixed up? I don't think so. So forgive me, SMB today has been been running some issues with SMB today, just in terms of my sessions and RDP. But that's the idea. It's all integrated right there. I have a demo on YouTube that Nick Howell and I recorded, and it's available. It shows you exactly that, right? You can go there right now on our landing page and see exactly how easy it is to create the volume, which we did, create a snapshot, which we did, and then use previous version to recover a file just like that. So what we'll do now is we will go and walk through the NFS volume creation just for the interest of time. And then I hope that we can fire up those NFS sessions and really look at that dynamic volume changes. So I'm going to now click on create, and we're on time. Wow, time does fly. So let's do the NFS one right here. We'll call it CFD NFS. So for NFS, it's pretty similar workflow with some changes on how you expose your expose the volume to your clients. So I'm going to take Central One again. In this case, I want to pick an extreme volume, and I want to give it 1 terabyte because I want to show you how I scale that. So I'll give it the minimum size, 1 terabyte, and the maximum is 100. And we'll choose NFS v3. And here, once again, we will pick RVPC. And then the difference that here is that you have to add the export policy, right? That makes sense. You want to be able to read and write to this volume from a Linux instance. So we'll do right for right now. We'll just add, we'll open it up to all my instances. There we go. Read and write. And then my clients happen to be v3 right now. So I'll pick v3. And then we'll click save. So just in a few seconds, you have an NFS volume created. So I wanna pause here and see what you guys think about what you saw so far. I know there's some NetApp experts here, and how did we do? Is this amazing or what?
I'm really looking forward to that replication. When is that happening?
This one? All right. This is coming. I'm not allowed to talk about it a lot yet, but as I mentioned, in about a month or so, you'll see that we'll be making some announcements on replication. And again, this is not going to be from on-prem into cloud. It's going to be more from a cloud region to another cloud region, right? And so yeah, that's how much I can get into at this point.
So let's talk a little bit about the integration with GVE, Google Cloud, VMware Engine. As I'm looking at these services, and one of the primary challenges is extending storage. You know, if I'm only limited to HCI, the vSAN that comes with it, I'm easily look at these types of solutions. What are some of the supported use cases? Is this mainly for extending for data volumes and running specific types of workloads? Or are we talking about native VMware data stores, VMFS file systems running on top of these cloud-based filers?
This is Jeff. Yes, the answer is yes, we can do both. With our Cloud Volumes service, that is focused on providing the shared file storage. With Cloud Volumes ONTAP, we can be a data store for the VMDKs. So you can literally snap mirror a virtual machine from your data center into a Cloud Volumes ONTAP running in any of Google's regions, and that has GCVE, and then launch the VM on CVO storage. And if it's something that is like an RDBMS, and you really want to promote that, and within vSphere, you can move that over to the NVMe storage that's within the GCVE hyperscale infrastructure. So it gives you a lot of flexibility with Cloud Volumes ONTAP. Of course, Cloud Volume Service, we're building out these service capabilities because we have to integrate that into Google's portal. So that's a lot of work. It's a co-engineered solution. But with CVO, you run it and you get a lot of those capabilities out of the box. So yes, we can support both shared file storage with CVS and with CVO, but we can also be the VM backing data store with CVO.
So essentially, the first category of use cases is right here, just like compute engine, right? If you were talking to Google, if you're moving applications to Google Cloud, we're giving you choices. Google's giving you choices to run them on compute engine, or if you're a VMware shop, you want to bring in existing tooling and existing skill set for VMware. Same thing, right? In fact, one of the coolest things that we demoed about 2 months ago is that same NetApp Cloud Volume can be mounted, same volume, on a VMware VM and a GCE VM. So how cool is that, right? You can take a NetApp Cloud Volume and you can mount it across private clouds within Google. So that's how simple, seamless, and powerful this service is designed. You can do that just like that. And we actually did a webinar with Google 2 months ago showing that. So that's the first one right here, guest file shares, NFS and SMB within the OS. And again, if you want that high-end performance, then use CVS. If you're looking at more NetApp skill sets, on-prem NetApp storage, SnapMirror, then if I click next, that's this use case right here, data source, as well as DR as well, which is right here. So we support all of those use cases for VMware. And the key thing to note that is that they just announced general availability. GCVE just came out in May. And that same day, we announced our support for GCVE. So just to make a note of how quickly we're also innovating here at NetApp, we're keeping up with the cloud, and we've also got our own offerings that are coming to help meet our customers where they are right now from their point of view, like desktops and like compliance and cost savings and all of that, right? So thank you, Pete, for asking that question. And we covered VMware here. What I'll do is now, since we have only a few minutes left, I'll go back to the SAP slide here and kind of talk about this as an example and for NFS Linux-based applications. And I know the next session, Scott and Dave will be taking you guys through much more detail here on all of the value that we bring and how this is one of the most important workloads for our customers, for Google, for us at NetApp. And they'll take you through the whole detail on that. What I want to do here is just to give you a view here of it could be any application running NFS and Linux, and how if you have multi-zone deployments, then we are in the center right there. As I mentioned earlier, we're a regional service, so you don't have to go to every region and have like a volume, right? You can have that volume for your shared files needs on us, which is already regionally attached, and really saves you a lot of operational complexity and overhead, right? So this is an example for Linux, and then for Windows, again, this Windows right here is an example slide of what a typical Windows architecture looks like, and what industry is not using Windows in their environment, right? Financials, healthcare, oil and gas, you name it. They have so many custom applications built using Windows technologies for 3 tiers, for the web layer, for middleware. And then what we're seeing is that there's a real gap right now in Google Cloud where they don't have that high-end SMB capability in Google. So that's what we bring. But then this also becomes the foundation for our other technologies in the user space, like Global File Cache or VDI using Itopia, which is a Google partner, or even NetApp's VDI, which is NetApp's virtual desktop service. You can use SMB volumes for user profiles there as well.
So, yes, right. So I guess the question is, how is the data protected across users? So, I mean, I'm a user. I have my own Google Volume service volume, and there's another guy over here. He's another user also using the service. How is the data protected between those two and not necessarily accessible between those two? I mean, is it encrypted with something associated with the user, or what?
So everything within the Google Cloud address is encrypted, and you would just use your standard Windows NTFS permissions and the way you would do it for just your regular SMB shares, right? So we'll let you handle that, and you can have multiple volumes for different users, or how you want to carve it up. But there's nothing extra that's needed or knobs that you can turn on our side. It's on the OS level that you can control all that. Yeah.
Just on a similar part of this topic, backups. Is there an integrated backup service that comes along with this for me to move data out of the cloud, I suspect, was the best probably way to put it?
Thank you, because I wanted to bring backup in that previous question and I didn't, so thank you for bringing that up now. You saw my volume dashboard, you saw the page for rep, you saw snapshots and replication. Right there, you're going to see backup coming very soon, essentially with a catalog to take the data in a Cloud Volumes and store it on GCS, check the box, multi-regional, and now you're good to go, right? So that's coming. We have it available. It is based on some of the technology that we've had for a while. So we are working on exposing that to our Google product suite. Don't have a time frame on that yet, but if I was to guess, I would say like maybe by this end of this calendar year, we will give you. But for now, you can use third-party tools. You can use, you can even use our Cloud Sync technology and have the data not just in one region, but also another region synchronized. Or you can synchronize it directly to Google Cloud Storage and then check that box to store it multi-regionally. So those are the options for backup.
And we have a SaaS platform called Cloud Sync that you can move between different destinations, different clouds, object storage to file back and forth. So we see that need a lot, and so we created a SaaS platform for that.
Just to give you a real quick overview, again, your data problems are data problems, right? They don't just go away if you're containerizing or running it on GCE, GCVE, or GKE, right? You still have to worry about how quickly you're provisioning, where you're wasting, and that value chain from dev stage to prod. So I'll just leave it at that for now, and I'll let Jeff summarize why we're the easy button, what we set out to achieve when we were building this partnership and products with Google, and I think we certainly did that. So with that, Jeff, do you want to close it out?
Yeah, I mean, we really are trying to make a very flexible way for consumption. As we've mentioned, there's CVS, which is literally the easy button for a newbie that just got their account started, and they can go spin up a volume, and it's pretty straightforward, no knowledge of NetApp required, to the expert storage admin that wants to have complete control of basically replicate their on-prem environment into the cloud, and for that, Cloud Volumes ONTAP is a great solution. So we've tried to give the customers offer, we give them options and let them choose which is best for them. But we want to make it also easy across the life cycle. So for the new developers all the way to the experts, administrators, simplifying the line of business. And as Raj said, we're just getting started. I mean, we're across all three clouds. We are acquiring company. We've acquired Spot. That acquisition just closed. That's bringing some new compute-centric capabilities to the cloud. So Stephen, I hope in our next Cloud Field Day, we'll be able to talk about what we're doing with Spot and, saving customers 90% in their cloud bill. I think they would care a lot about that. And as Raj mentioned, there's, it's easy to get started, whether you're CLI, your API, you're in the console itself. We have a lot of tools that we weren't able to walk through that. And then ultimately now to turn it over to Dave Stump and Scott McCullough, we've taken this platform, this data fabric, and now taken it to run the ultimate of enterprise workloads, if you will, with SAP. And with that, I will turn this over to Dave and Scott, and you can take it up the stack to the very top with SAP.